Not tonight, no. Fighting, we've been fighting for so long now. Tired of trying, cause everything I do is wrong. I open my heart up to you. Now you act like there's an issue. Funny, but I still love you. I just need to know you want me to.
Welcome everybody to the Real Nester. I'm Crystal Real Nester, and this is
James, the ultimate Real Nester, the most dynamic duo. Can't get the seat down.
y'all know what day this is. Y'all see this video, y'all see the title. Now let's get into it.
We're back for another episode of Married at First Sight, and this is a long name. I don't know how I'm gonna do the title, but you'll see it. Out of the comfort zone and into the sea. Let's get it, man. You start off.
Well, everybody is, I think this is coming up on the end of the vacation, because last week was into day 3. So they're coming up on the end of vacation. They paying more attention to, you know, their energy together, I guess is the right way to say it. Anyway, James Real
We
Nester.
didn't even mention at Real Nester.
Anyway.
They only talked about 2 of the couples so far, so.
Well, actually.
Well, 3.
I was going to say they started with Michaela and Zach. And y'all know the issue with that is that Michaela hightailed it back home because she couldn't snuggle up against Zachy Wacky. And then they both keep claiming that they miss each other already. And Zach is like, I'm sad, I feel bad, I gotta make it up to her. And she's home talking about she's sad and he's so positive. But she rolled out on her man. So this is a review. And I reviewed Michaela. Not a good first move.
Michaela.
Even though he had to be separated, she could have still stayed and bonded with everybody else.
Yeah.
Because you know they always have girl trips and all of that and da 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 da. So it could have still worked if she stayed, and she could have just been there for moral support physically.
And so for Mirla and Gil, they only talked about, you know, whether or not she would change her name. And so she gave him a little lackadaisy answer. Said, nah, I want to keep my name to
because of her dad.
Because of her father.
In remembrance of her dad.
Yeah. So he couldn't really argue with that. So
But,
he said,
because he said to her, well, why don't you hyphenate? And she, because you know, Mexicans hyphenate.
In the middle,
and she said, no, I'm not doing that. Nobody in my family does that.
Yeah.
You guys.
It's difficult.
I know they are smiling while these conversations are happening, but I gotta tell y'all, I know that this is building up for Gil. Mm-hmm. He's gonna either snap or he's gonna either be out.
You're gonna say enough is enough. It's like when you put somebody back in the corner.
Yeah, they gotta come out fighting.
The last couple, Bow and Johnny.
What was it? What was up now? What was something else? Oh yeah, I mentioned the the hyphenation thing, and what was that? Yeah, you guys, Marilyn and Gil, let's just pray for them. But remember, I said they weren't going to stay together. That ain't changing for me.
Bow and Johnny.
Bow and Johnny.
Basically, what they brought up was her snoring. How she was real sensitive about it, and he was just telling her. What did he say?
Well,
he said to the camera that if they weren't married, he'd have been out. Because she sounded like a Big Mac truck.
But he was also saying that it's a red flag for him that she had to go so far into her explanation of, you know, and she takes it serious because people have been making fun of her since she was younger. And they also was mentioning that they both liked each other previously, and that he was asking her, does she think if they had both confessed that they liked each other back in the day, do he think they would have been married with kids by now? And she was like, So anyway, you guys, you know, I think that their relationship is going to be a little stressful. I do think they're going to stay in it, but I think it's going to be a bit stressful because Bao is like super intense right now.
We back on, so we get back to the next episode. All right, we on to like the next little, what they call them? I keep saying episode segment. There you go. Well, we're on to the next segment, and this one I guess we can get. Let's start off with Bao and Johnny, cause they had the least amount of on this say. Basically, they went to the beach. Johnny, which one? Johnny just informed Bao that at this point, usually when he's with someone, that's when the doubts kick in and he have a second thought.
No, not just because he with somebody, but because
they have an issue.
Her overbearing, I guess you want to say.
Yeah.
Like about the snoring thing, it was like really intense for her. Like she was telling the whole story, and she's like, "If you're gonna make fun of me, you can sleep in another room, or I'm not joking." And he just felt like that was, it wasn't that serious.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point of him having the conversation later, was him letting her know that, that kind of thing kind of bothered him, and he confessed to the camera that he wanted her to be open.
Yeah.
So he needed to be open and honest with her. So while they was hanging out, he explained to her, he told her he didn't want to freak her out, he didn't want to scare her, but he wanted to be honest.
And now, Ryan and Brett, they basically started out with them in bed talking about what they was going to do the next day. He brought Brett, Brett was in bed.
Mm-hmm.
These names keep throwing me off. She got the guy name.
Right.
So they were talking about what they would get ready to go out on the water to go kayaking. They would say, well, what are we going to do if we see a shark or a manatee? So they were just kind of playing with each other.
Basically, Brett is very fearful, which is the redhead. She's very fearful of a lot of things. But she was saying she was willing to face her fears because she feels like Ryan has her back.
Yeah. And
he makes her feel more comfortable, so she would be willing to face the fears. She says she's scared of a lot of things, but she's less afraid with him.
And then the couple that had the most activity in this little section was Jose and Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
She said she was in fear, or she said she claimed she never rode a bicycle before in her life.
Mm-hmm.
But then it showed her when they were going out the bike ride, she just hopped on the bike and didn't have no troubles, no issues, even had one hand off the bike as she was riding. So I don't think that was true. I think she's ridden a bike before. Yeah. She probably hadn't ridden a bike a lot of time, but she know how to ride a bike. Cause once you learn how to ride a bike, even as a kid, that's something you don't forget. And then you talk about the Switzerland thing.
I was about to say 2 things that keep coming up with these guys. And it's more of Rachel bringing it up is the financial situation. Because the night before they had a conversation about money, and basically Jose was saying that he would prefer if they both put their money in a joint bank account after he pays all the bills, then they could take out what's left to do whatever they want to do. And that really bothered Rachel, like it making her skin crawl. So she brought that up like 2 more times, once in the morning and once after they riding their bike. She also was talking about how she likes to go on vacation. And, he's saying, after, we got to start planning for kids. So we need to save more money. And he don't have a problem with going on local vacations, but something that's going to cost a lot of money. She said her dream vacation was Switzerland. So he said, something like that he didn't think was obtainable right now while they're planning for children. So she's like, everything else is a check mark for her. She keeps repeating it, like, you make me feel comfortable. You're always encouraging me. I love it. I love it. Besides the money thing, she's also worried about when they get back home and start living their real life. She's worried. She wants to know if they can still get along like they are right now. Yeah. So, overall, they're pretty good. They woke up smooching. I don't think we mentioned that part. Don't look like they got busy yet, but they on the edge. So, we'll be back next part.
We're back again, you guys, and we got the gangster lean.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, we coming back. We want to keep you guys abreast, blow by blow, as it happened. Even though we're not live, we are recording this as it happened. And first, we're going to get into the light work with Ryan and Brett kayaking on the river.
Oh, yeah, that's wrap that up.
And she see the manatee, so she started to freak out, thinking it's Jaws or somebody. But
she didn't freak out really big. She just didn't want to look at it.
Yeah.
She knew it was there. She like, as long as it doesn't touch my kayak. If it touches my kayak, then I'm gonna lose it.
It was big as a kayak though. But it turned out to be a good trip. They came back in, everything chill. Talk about Bow and Johnny, man.
Bow and
Paragliding.
Johnny went parasailing.
Yeah, parasailing. Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
And they had since they had that serious conversation earlier, this was kind of later, right after that. They did the parasailing thing. Both of them felt great about it. So they talked about moving in together. And I had to do the eye thing. So they both agree no shoes in the house, but they also a little scared to talk about their other must have and must not haves, only because Johnny admitted he hasn't lived with anybody in over 8 years.
8 years.
And Bao actually has a roommate.
Ooh.
So yeah. But they was like, we will see. But they also both said that they're committed to working through whatever they need to work through to make this work.
Yeah.
Love them.
And just had a quick video call from Zach. He's still in bed, a little down, but other than that, we did see Michaela.
But
Marilyn and Gil.
Before we get to that, everybody, and I think I've said this before, but I'm gonna say it again because everybody who talks about their situation, every person who's talked about their situation said the same thing. If they was Michaela, they would have stayed. Versus Michaela, who packed her bags and went home and left Zach for dead. Okay? Yeah. I mean, he is in the room and he is quarantining, but just knowing that she was there in support would have been the best thing to do. So they actually touched on that a little bit. This time Jose was the one who said it. Rachel said it before. Nobody agrees with her leaving, but go ahead.
And then they wind this particular episode down with everybody at the little dinner get together.
Dinner, yeah.
And then they were just talking about different things, political things, people just making faces. So nothing really exciting at the dinner yet.
Let me tell it. He don't know how to tell it.
Well, they're going to get into it right now on this one.
We talked about everybody thinking she could have stayed. But when Johnny started off, they shared their story about what happened with the snoring and blah, 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 blah. And everybody thought that was great for them to share because it would encourage them to be more communicative with each other and to see how happy they were. And then, Brett and Ryan, at some point, I think it was the editing because Brett, which is the redhead, happened to mention every conversation that everybody else had, and she was saying that her and Ryan had not talked about any of those things yet. She said because she's slow to ask questions, he didn't really say. Y'all know he always got the straight face. So. Yeah. Then they mentioned talking about political stuff, like what was hard conversations, and political came up, and it was Merla and Gil again. And Merla's like, oh, if your interest is different than mine, it is over. You can hand me the divorce check. Because they had dinner. And Gil didn't like that. I told you guys, these bricks are just piling up for Merla. This is getting pretty heavy. So yeah, they spent the last probably end of that conversation them two talking, and we'll be right back.
Boom. Price. Boom. There you go.
Alright guys, so we're back. I think we skipped about 2 or 3 commercial breaks to get y'all a little mouthful.
Two.
So there was a couple's boat ride. Kind of like a continuation thing. I did want to mention something I missed from earlier off my notes, was that when Gil was talking to the group about money, he said that he hasn't done that with the princess yet. Because it was going to be hard to have that conversation with the princess. And she started laughing. But also, and those two went on a little separate date. He got one of those little, I don't know what you call them, cabana things. It's like a chair with a cover. Yeah. And for him and her, and he ordered gelatis to come to them.
You say gelatis.
Ain't that what it's called? Gelato?
Yeah,
Gelatos. And she was just like, what is that? Is it soft? Is it hard? I mean, did it melt by now? It's so hot. Oh my goodness. And he's just looking at her, and then he's like, just taste it. And she's like, does it have milk products in it? Blah, 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 blah. He said, just taste it. And then after she started eating it, she remembered the day before she told him, or earlier that day, she told him she had a taste for a gelato. And so that's what he had ordered for her.
But I'm starting to think now she the plant.
She
All
doing
this
it on
stuff is
purpose.
It's starting to seem extra now.
Yeah, I
It's
do
starting to
think
seem
I
extra
do
now.
think she's being extra. It was one couple last year. I can't think of who it was. The guy said, "I'm gonna give you all of my weird and quirky up front, so you can see if you can really handle it." And that might be the page out the book she's taking. They talked about her upbringing because he wanted to know how did she become a diva is the word they're using for her now. She said, "Yeah, I like that word."
Yeah.
And then they talked about having kids. He wants 7 to 8, and she didn't say a number.
As he said, 8 to 7.
And he said, maybe you can have, 1 or 2, and then we can adopt the rest. And she's like, no, I'm not adopting. So they got some really hard conversations to have.
Mm-hmm.
So needless to say, after that, they end up on the boat trip. And they went, what's that thing called?
Kayaking?
No, that wasn't kayak. It was with a boat, paddle boat.
Paddle surfing.
Yeah. So they did that. Surfing. They all was having fun. They played Never Have I Ever, and of course that game gets everybody in trouble. So Never Have I Ever. Bao had a one night stand, and they was all surprised about that. Rachel and Mirla were cheaters.
Cheetah.
Everybody was surprised by that, and Jose was not excited to find that out because he said his dad cheated on his mom, so that triggered something for him. But
for life.
Gil was okay because evidently Mirla and him had that conversation already. And then Johnny got lost at sea for about 5 minutes, and he had to find his way back. So they all seem to be having a really good time. It ended with, I'll tell y'all when they come back. It's back on you guys. Sorry, so we gotta go. So the last time, if y'all see, we cut out pretty quickly, so I wanted to come back and tie up my loose ends about my conversation. So one of the things they did at the couple's dinner, they asked the question, who was getting busy? And of course nobody at the table was. And then they said, well, who do y'all think is going to be first to get busy? So Gil said Rachel and Jose.
Yeah, that's what they thought because they was kissing on each other.
And then Mirla actually said Bao and Johnny. Because she said, and they said, well, why us? She said, I don't know. It's just something saying over there. And then Bao says, well, I'll take that. She's like, I'll take that challenge. Mm-hmm. So, and then Ryan says he thinks Michaela and Zach would be the first to get busy because of this whole situation with them being apart and saying they miss each other.
When they get back together, it's gonna be firework. But they didn't know that
nobody knows.
They already got busy.
They already got busy.
Yeah.
So far nobody's gotten busy.
And you brought up the thing was how did they get busy and Michaela didn't catch COVID.
Yeah. Because they got busy, or they was in each other's space consistently for at least 2 days. Yeah. And supposedly you could do this and catch COVID. So I thought that was interesting. Then, let's see. Okay. So then we're going to talk about Bao and Johnny again. They had a conversation about how many times he showers a day. And Bao was like, sometimes I just want to be my dirty self. And she's like, are you okay with that? And he's like, you could just wash off, or you could lay in the bed but change the sheets. And so that was pretty funny to see them two go back and forth banter about that. They also just previewed that Johnny had a conversation with his dad, and he feels a little bit better, a little bit more supportive about the marriage now that he knows that he married an Asian woman. And he said, he was telling his dad about Bao, and at the end, he said, his heart was relieved for him, and he's also happy for him. So that made Johnny pretty happy, and that made Bao pretty happy, and then they smoochy like, yeah. So, and then you guys, because it is getting good now.
Going down in the DMs.
It is going down them DMs. So, yeah, I told y'all they guessed Rachel and Bao and Johnny and that. Okay. And then the last thing, speaking of sex, Rachel mentions to Jose, she was like, oh, we've been doing a lot of physical touching, but there's actually not been no physical going down.
So she's wanting to find out. She want to go ahead and get it over with to make sure they are compatible in that way.
Well, no, but remember, she's the one, when they were packing and he packed the condoms, she the one who threw the condoms back on the bed and said, you can't have babies that way.
Yeah.
Remember? So they're very touchy-feely, lots of kissy.
Yeah.
But Jose has not made his move, and all he got to do is make his move, and Rachel is open. But
she did it to herself, because when they first started, she wasn't about no sex when they first started.
No, that's not true.
She was stuffy.
No, you're thinking about Marla.
No, I'm talking about her.
Not Rachel.
Cause remember, he always said he was a sexual person.
No, you're thinking about Brett and Ryan.
Yeah.
That's Brett and Ryan who's stuffy. Brett, she said she hadn't kissed nobody in 2 years. And then leading up to the honeymoon, she sounded like she was down for whatever.
Oh yeah, down for whatever.
But once she got married, like she has been acting a bit stuffy. That's Brett and Ryan you're thinking about. And because he mentioned to her while they was getting a massage that he's a sexual person.
Ooh,
remember that?
Yeah.
Didn't you have a note about the Rachel and Jose?
You already just said it about no sex. No.
And then he said his.
He said if he ain't
checked all the boxes,
got all his boxes checked, he ain't getting busy.
Yeah, because he said you're missing. We don't want to miss out of our true connection.
Box that he missing to be checked is the sex box.
Or because if y'all remember, it's always a couple that mimics a previous couple. If y'all remember last year, it was Ryan and
the munchkin guy.
Ryan, his name was Ryan. Yeah. Ryan and I can't remember her name.
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz guy.
But they didn't have sex. So every year is somebody that mimics somebody. But anyway, so Jose is holding up the sex from Rachel.
We got one more episode to go, so we're going to come back and we're going to wrap this up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we made it to the end, and we still awake. Anyway, let's wrap this baby up.
Let's wrap it
up. So,
up.
ladies and gentlemen,
we're wrapping.
We are at day 7 of marriage. Y'all know in the beginning it's a slow count, and then after a while it just takes off once they hit back home. Mm-hmm. And move in, head back home, visit each other's houses, move in together, and then it's all a big blur after that. Excuse me. So needless to say, there was some good, I will say again, so far this year has been the best great start. And what I mean by that is these people are actually, I don't know if it's the producers or the counselors, but they're actually making sure that they start having some of the intense conversations on honeymoon instead of trying to avoid them like the plague. Ryan and Brett finally talked about moving in together. They talked about not making up their bed. That is not a big deal to them. But the one issue that Brett can't seem to get over is the political issue, which Ryan feels like is not a big deal for him. He votes how he votes, and it is what it is. It's not going to bother him. But Brett is a little bit emotional about it. So, yeah. And Ryan just gave her a look and kept it moving. Not that he ignored her, but he didn't let her stress him out about it. I'll say that. Then there was Mila and Gil. This is our troublemaking couple this year, and the reason why is because Gil is trying to stay super positive and happy all the time, but Mila has no problem with sticking a pin in his bubble. So they talked about, well, Mila called herself doing something nice finally, and she bought Gil a big platter of chocolate chip cookies. Because that was something he asked for, and he was really excited. He was saying between that and the wine, that was like full play to him. He was so excited about that, but she did not bite.
Yeah.
Then they got to talking about moving in together, getting back home, and he was asking some kind of way something came up. Oh, he said he missed his dog, and she's basically let him know that she's not going to participate. She's not being a doggy mom. He's on his own. Mom. Yeah, that's what they call it. That she asked, he said, well, that I'm gone like for 48 hours, twice a week he works 24-hour shifts. Yeah. And she says, yeah. So she said, yeah, she said, well, who watches your dog now? And he said, I pay a dog walker. And she said, well, we will continue to pay a dog walker. And he was like, well, that's a waste of money if you got an able-bodied person. And she was not hearing it. House, yeah. She said she is not cleaning up any doggy poo. She wants no problem. And he kind of told her then, he's like, well, that makes me not want to even get to know you more. If that's how this is going to be. If you don't
accept my dog, I can't accept you. Ooh, yeah.
So, it didn't get like super intense because I guess to me, I think she's poking the bear. So it didn't get super intense. They kind of just rolled it off and kept moving.
Maybe she's not having sex with him because she knows she's not gonna stay with him.
I don't think it's necessarily that. I just think that she's a different type of chick. Mm-hmm. So everybody's packing up and heading home. Was there anything else I missed?
No. We don't want to talk about the previews for next week. But
I'm not talking about the previews. I'm talking about anything we missed from here. It looks like every.
Bao and Johnny were talking about, how, when they get home, how it's gonna be. Is that basically everybody just getting ready for how it's gonna be when they get back to the apartment thing?
Now, as far as our review, I tried to make a prediction at the end of every show, and a lot of the predictions have been right on, just about. So the prediction was who was going to have sex on the honeymoon.
And the only people that did was Michaela.
Well, they didn't. They actually did before they even got the honeymoon.
They wasn't. The honeymoon was right after the marriage. So it was the first night.
The first night of the honeymoon.
Of the honeymoon. So they were on the honeymoon.
So my prediction for Marla and Gil was a no, and that was an absolute no. Yeah. We got Zach and Michaela. They said they did. We thought Bao and Johnny. Well, I thought Bao and Johnny would have sex before the honeymoon was over, and they did not. So that's only one bad prediction. I got one bad prediction there. Brett and Ryan, I thought they would probably have sex on the honeymoon, but I also told you guys that they are our wild card couple. It could go up or it could go down. I can't tell with those two. So they didn't. Who else? Rachel, I thought they would have sex on the honeymoon.
Yeah, I thought that Rachel would.
But no, none of them. So nobody consummated their marriage but Michaela and Zach, and they mysteriously have been the two that has been furthest away from each other. So, next prediction. Everybody's starting to move in together.
Into the show apartment, not
the joint place. Yes.
The joint one. Yeah.
Usually, there's an issue at least with one couple. For some reason, the person don't want to move in, or they move in and they want to sleep in the second bedroom. So far though, it looks like everybody will move in because everybody's pretty touchy-feely. Even Gil and Merla, who have not kissed yet, but they do hold hands. He puts his arms around her and things like that. So, I'm trying to think what could be the proper prediction for this. We know they're all probably going to move in together. I wonder if anybody's going to move out. I'll wait
You just-
until I see the first show and say whether or not we
After
see
next
somebody
week, we'll know.
where somebody might move out. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we thank you for spending time with us. We hope you like our reviews. Don't forget to comment down below. Don't forget to share us out. Put some thumbs up on this video. Y'all know I like them thumbs up on this video.
Yes, sir.